Good this up, we are ready. In 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vishnu, and I'm going to be the host for ManTech Summit 2021. Today, this particular meet is organized by Spasmodic Group, a student organization under the aegis of Division of Student Welfare, Lovely Professional University. Well, what an event we're going to have. Trust me, this is touted to be India's largest virtual entrepreneurship summit, and definitely so because we are having so many guests who are going to come and who are going to give their talks, give their inspirations. They're going to share their wisdom and knowledge, and perhaps we're going to have so many things in these few days of ManTech Summit 2021, from entrepreneurship stories to startup pitching to brand promotions to panel discussions to cross-country dialogues. We have tons of activities lined up. But before we begin with ManTech Summit 2021, let me tell you a little bit about the group Spasmodic LPU. Spasmodic LPU is a tier 2 student organization which is working under the aegis of Division of Student Welfare, LPU, that made its humble beginning with a huge vision in December 2019. Ever since then, they've been conducting events, even during the tough times of pandemic, bringing in corporate leaders, political leaders, business tycoons, and helping them interact with students so that students can also understand about the industry experience and the market in general. They are being groomed under the able leadership of their well-experienced and dedicated team, and they have hosted 30 plus industry professionals through their pilot projects of conclaves, seminars, and summits. They are also the consultant and strategic partner for annual edition of Young Leaders Program by BRICS, Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Well, that is Spasmodic Group, but what we're essentially going to talk about today is about the man who is going to interact with you all. What an incredible personality he is. I mean, first of all, I think we should all congratulate him for being the CEO of the year 2020, conferred by World Brand Congress. Congratulations to you, sir. But before I hand over the stage to you, allow me to read out certain things about you that you've done over the years. He is an alumnus of Harvard Business School. He has deep experience in P&L and commercial operations, brand management, and product development, with functional leadership and management expertise. He has led corporate strategy, business transformation, digital roadmaps, and market expansions in broadcast media, digital and OTT industry, content, smartphones, and consumer durables. He is currently the CEO of Reliance Entertainment's Big Synergy, one of India's most respected content development and production companies, with a legacy of creating 5,000 plus hours of path-breaking premium original content for TV and OTT platforms. He has led a team of creative visionaries and has built a multi-platform, multi-geography, and multilingual success, partnering with SVOD, AVOD streaming platforms and national and regional language TV networks. Earlier in the media industry, he has turned around Discovery Network's India and South Asia business from a loss-making to the highest margin business. In the 13 years at Discovery, leading to head and VP products and marketing, he has launched and built its entire 11-channel portfolio, garnered undisputed 10-year leadership for Discovery Channel, created lifestyle TV category in India with TLC, and he's launched the company's kids business, Discovery Kids, and pioneered HD TV genre in India. He has strategized Discovery's localization, leading to 100 plus million weekly viewers and 10x revenue growth, and marketed products across diverse target groups in both mass and premium segments. I mean, the experience doesn't end there. He's also worked as a CMO of Intex Technologies, a USD 1 billion homegrown Indian disruptor in smartphones and consumer durables. I think the list is endless. It'll take a half an hour only to tell you about the work that he has done, but we have the man himself, so I will directly request him to address all the young people who are watching us live right now and greet them with his thoughts. Sir, off to you.
Thank you, Vishnu. That was really very generous of you to say all these words. Thank you, the organization committee. Thank you, Lovely Professional Institute, for having me here today. And thank you, students, for taking all the time to listen to me and perhaps even interact with me later. I must tell you that you are one of the most fortunate lot. I know many of you sitting at home for the last 1 year, not meeting your friends, not going to the campus, or perhaps not feeling the same emotion as I'm saying. But I must tell you this, that you're one of the most fortunate lot, because you are entering into the new India. You are entering into the digital world. You are entering into a world where imagination is going to set you apart from the rest, and not necessarily your past laurels. And I think the age that you are all in, I can't but feel envious of all of you, that I wish I was starting again where you are today. Vishnu has structured this event where we would take out a maximum time for interaction, because that's, I think, the idea of this session. But before we go there, I thought I'll just share something that I have practiced, followed, believed, and has led me to where I am today. My whatever success I've got is basically following these principles, and I thought that uh, what I will say as seven maybe go-to activities or go-to principles are principles which I have followed, and I think they are perhaps could be kind of expressed by you also in your career, should you feel that they are of value to you. And I think first and foremost, I think I want to tell you all that uh, we all, when we're starting off in a management institute, especially or any other course you may be doing, we all feel that we want to do the big things. And why not? We all kind of are born to do the big things. But doing the big things, I mean, some of us will be fortunate to get it immediately, and some will take some time. But what do you do until then? And how will you do when you get the big opportunity? The idea is that once you get the big opportunity, you can't fail. So what do you do until then? And this is what I have done, and this is what I would tell all of you to do also, is get a practice, get in habit of doing the smaller things perfectly. Don't worry about the scale of the matter. Worry whether you've done it perfectly or not. So my first kind of mantra to you would be, take every small projects, activities, things that you do, and do it perfectly. Even if it's making your bed in the morning, make sure you're making the bed perfectly, that you can actually do an Insta post of it. If you can't do an Insta post of making your bed, that means you're not done it perfectly. So do all the small things every day that you do perfectly. And I'm telling you, this habit will take you to do the right things, the big things, as perfectly as you should. Second thing, I think this is something that, of course, I've been a student not too long ago, and we all take ourselves very seriously. Uh, get out of yourself. You're not that important. Sorry, unfortunately, you're not that important. You start worrying that, what if I do this? It will cause me embarrassment, my reputation, my resume, my experience. Don't worry what your friends will think, your neighbors will talk. Worry about why and what you're doing. If you're clear of why and what you're doing, don't worry about self-judgment. Don't worry. You don't. So when I say you're not that important, what I mean is, take this pressure off yourself. Okay. Third, I think, and again, you have to take this in the right spirit. Please be prepared, especially in this era that you're entering. And the pandemic and the lockdown has told you a lot of this. Break the rules. What are rules? To me, rules are an expectation based on your past experience. And that's not necessarily your experience somebody else. So if somebody with their own past experience has set a certain performance experience benchmark. And I think those benchmarks, those regulations, those rules are all of the past. They're not of the future. And we are entering into future. So these rules by definition actually is a hurdle in the growth of imagination. So obviously I'm not by any stretch saying break the legal laws. Please do follow the law. But I'm saying in matters of rules of this is what a brand can do or cannot do, this is what a company should not do. Don't worry so much about the past legacy, because past legacy has to be respected, they have to be learned from, but they can't be your benchmark barometer for future activities. So I would say be prepared, and this is another way of saying take risk. But I would not say take risk, because that of course all of us should take, but I'm saying go beyond that, be ready to break the rules. Because that will set you as to how far am I taking the risk. Am I breaking the rule? I'm just doing some little variation to what has done in the past and calling that a risk. That's not a risk. Risk is when actually you're taking something bold. And please do remember, and I don't know how many of you used this last 1 year, because I know professor was telling me earlier that students have been in lockdown for a year, and obviously you had tons of time, right? But very few people actually were wise enough to use their time well. It may be perhaps the only time in your career now that you would have to spend with your loved ones in such a long duration. You're not going to get this opportunity ever again. So it is unfortunate what happened, but I'm telling you, what you got is 1 year to spend on yourself, on your thinking, on your ability with your loved ones. This time will never come. And when you enter the era of occupation, whether you become an entrepreneur, you set up your own shop, or you do something for somebody else, you become a consultant, the only thing that I have realized over the period is time is finite. Everything else will come. Opportunities will come, people will come, new jobs will come, new roles will come. But you will not be 25 again, you will not be 30 again, you will not be 32 again. So time is finite. And that is one thing that you must treasure and value most. And it's often we ignore that most, and we start valuing other things. Being different, and this is my kind of the fifth thing that I want to say. I only have 7 things, so don't worry, I'm not going to go too long. The fifth thing is, if you are different, be proud of that. Feel fortunate. In a meeting room, when I'm sitting with 7 people and 6 people are converging to my point, I look at the 7th one who may, I hope, disagree with us. You want disagreements, you want debates, you want different point of views. So if you're different, and you're different because of, maybe some of us are introverts, some are extroverts, some are persuasive, some are more conducive. We are all different personalities. Please continue to be different and make that differentiation your edge or USP. And that will make you stand out in a crowd. Because all of us want to stand out in a crowd, but then we want to behave like the crowd. You can't do both the things. One of the most important lessons I've learned in my life is, and this goes to the definition of strategy. If anybody has studied strategy, it's called trade-off. You're always making a trade-off. And by trade-off, mean you're making a sacrifice of choosing one over the other, one job over the other, one action over the other action, one event over the other event. You have to make a trade-off in life. So be mature, strong, bold, knowledgeable, experienced to make a trade-off. You will always be making a trade-off. Life is nothing but a trade-off. And so be prepared to make this trade-off. And don't worry too much. Don't get conscious about it. You will continuously be challenged by my multiple options, and you will have to make a trade-off. So trade-off is essential of life. The last thing is, when a lot of people ask me, did you enjoy the journey most, or did you enjoy the destination? And you're all in the beginning of your journey. So I want to say this very clearly to you from my experience. It is neither the destination, neither the journey. It is a companion who's actually walked with you through this period is what you will enjoy most. So make sure that the people you are working, studying, living with are enjoying your company and you're enjoying theirs. If not, change your company, because I can assure you, you will not enjoy the destination if there's no companion on the way, and you will certainly not enjoy the journey if there's no companion on the way. So it's the companion which will matter most. And on that note, I want to make it open for Vishnu to kind of set this up for an interaction, and I'll be happy to answer most of your questions.
Absolutely, sir. I think what you've given is a lot of motivation for the students, and I must agree to the points that you've mentioned out here, especially the last point, that it definitely comes to who was there with you when you're carrying forward your journey. And that is why they also say that you are the average of 5 people around you. So if you keep 5 good people around you, definitely your career and your ambitions will be on the same line.
But you should always put,
all right, so I think
always have one critic in those 5. Don't have all the 5 friends. You're not going to improve that.
Yes, definitely, sir. Well, I'm pretty sure that now the people are going to call their friends and going to be like, you are the critic of mine from this day.
Absolutely.
I like to first ask this question. I think I was there when you were having the conversation with our Dean Welfare regarding how the movies have now come to the screens and they have opened up for audience to come and watch. However, my question to you is that these are the same movies who are also getting released within 2 weeks, 3 weeks on OTT platforms. Now the question here is, how is your production company seeing this, wherein the movies are also released in theaters and are also released in OTT platform? How is the entire thought process behind this, as to give more leverage to the OTT platforms or give more leverage to the theaters in general?
Well, there are three things I must tell you first. I think we are in a habit as humans to write obituaries for industries. I mean, we've been writing obituaries for cinemas for a long time. We wrote obituaries when VCRs came 30 years back, that cinemas will die out. We wrote obituaries for radio. We've been writing obituaries for print media. We've been writing obituaries for TV will die out when OTT has come in. I think these are nothing but exaggeration. The fact is, all the industries are thriving. All of the categories that I mentioned are growing, and they will continue to grow in India. See, India is a unique country. One, we are 1.4 billion, touching 1.4 billion. Two, 70% live in rural villages. So to suggest that any one particular activity or platform will sustain everybody, I think is nothing but a gross exaggeration or misunderstanding of the country landscape altogether.
Right.
To specific to theaters and movies, I think movies, we have to understand, it's an experience. Going to theater is an experience. That experience cannot be matched at home. It cannot be matched by mobile phone. It cannot be matched by a television at home, even if you have the best surround system in the house. You don't still get the same energy, the same popcorns, nothing like that happens. Third, every medium, whether it's a handset, whether it's a TV or a theater or a radio, which will serve its own unique purpose, and they will have the unique audience. There are some audience which are overlaps, but everybody has their own super fans, and then rest are, of course, the fringe audience which comes and goes. So I think we are fortunate in India for sure that all, and I know some countries are not facing this or they are having one or the other, but India is a unique country where all the categories continue to grow.
Right, sir. Absolutely true. So when you took this role as the CEO of this company, if I'm not wrong, back in 2018, I'm pretty sure the company must have had certain vision and certain mission. And when you entered, it must have taken you certain time to understand exactly where you have to take this brand. What were the challenges that came your way? How did you tackle it? And what is one exception in your career that you would like to share with all of us?
My company where I joined in 18 was run by a gentleman called Siddharth Basu. Most of you must have seen him all your life. Quite an iconic figure. And our company was very, very established in a genre called nonfiction. We used to do lots of nonfiction content. If you've seen shows like ABC, Das Kadam,
India's Got Talent,
lots of them. So almost every big nonfiction format would have been launched by the company. But when you're doing one thing so well, it just happens that the other category, which becomes a fiction content, which is what we enjoy on television, soaps or OTT web series now, is something that you haven't done because, like I said, you were doing a trade-off. And the company was working more towards the non-fiction category and not fiction. I came in because I sensed that the explosion of fiction content, especially on OTT coming in and television also expanding in regional markets, would happen in fiction genre more. So my first purpose and my reason to join was to transform the company from a non-fiction entity into a full content powerhouse, where we will do fiction content, non-fiction content, factual content, reality content, documentaries, movies, and everything else. So we will not stick to one particular genre. We will do multi-genres. We will approach and work in multi-geographies. We will have shows in Punjab market. We'll have shows in Andhra Pradesh, we will have shows in Bangalore, Karnataka market, we'll have in Tamil Nadu, we'll have West Bengal, and of course, we'll have Hindi. And third thing is, we work across platforms. We will work on OTT platforms, we will work on digital platform, and we'll also work on short form platforms, and we'll also work on television platforms. So there is no one thing that we will do. So we will become more like the supermart of content. And that's the journey that has happened the last 2 years. And we've been kind of fortunate that our strategy has worked. We've been successful to do almost work in all the genres I said, and in almost like 6-7 languages in this country. So it's a complete transformation, and therefore I think very thrilling ride.
And so one exceptional moment from this journey that you'd like to share with us, wherein you found it a bit challenging, but then you figured out the way to come out of it.
Getting the first fiction show for us the biggest challenge, because people don't trust you, because fiction show typically lasts for 2-3 years, and non-fiction show typically lasts for 3 months. A non-fiction format is
Right.
largely 26 episodes, and they come and go in 3 months. A fiction content stays for 2 years. You watch it
Right.
every night at 9 o'clock. So therefore, to get the first deal, first show on ground, and it's not just a challenge from the platform, but also a challenge from the artist, the writer, the director, the crew, because everybody has to believe in what you're thinking. I mean, fortunately, I've worked in content which is in space where I must have released more than close to 5 to 10,000 hours of content, and I must have
Wow.
seen content of every kind. I mean, from adventure to survival to animation to parenting to I doubt any genre which we would not have covered. So my mind is very attuned to kind of multi-genre discussions in single day. So in fact,
Right.
I get restless if I just do one kind of thing in a day. I normally have been fortunate that I'm not repeated a day. My every day has been unique. And that's been unique because of the work I've been getting, not because of any other reason. And which is why I say I never had a dull day in my life.
That is fantastic. That is, I think, some inspiration that we must take from you. And also, you would be glad to know that I'm from the Telugu-speaking state, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So one of your show is running great, I think, on Starma.
Yes.
So congratulations to you for that as well, because I think it is getting one of the best TRPs. The ratings are sky high.
Yes. Gupedantu
All
Manoj
right.
is hit the 10.3 rating, which is more like hitting a double century in 30 overs. So
Right. Yeah.
so it's done very well for us within 2 months of its launch. And we have two shows running on the channel, Amekatha and this one. So both are doing very well. And that is a beauty, right? I don't speak Telugu, I don't speak Bangla. I'm a Punjabi, but I can't speak Punjabi as fluently. But you get a chance to work in all languages because eventually stories travel, storytelling is similar, emotions are similar. My experience of working in Indian and multinationals and working with colleagues around the world is by and large, we're all the same.
Right. Absolutely, sir. Sir, I have this one question. OTT platforms, especially, you see that we have Netflix, we've got Disney Plus, Hotstar, we've got Amazon Prime. But if you look at them as a company in general, they
Right.
are not in profit making. Netflix has a lot of loan at their head, and similarly, some other OTT platforms. But yet, they are very popular amongst the crowd, and they have a vision in their head that they are going to run. And despite losses, they keep pushing a lot of money into producing more and more content. How do you get the confidence, A, and B, how correct it is to invest despite knowing that you are in surplus amount of debt?
Uh, See, we have lots of OTT platforms in India. To my last count, there are about 30. The big ones are, of course, Z5, Hotstar, which is now Disney Hotstar, Amazon Prime, and Netflix for sure. And there are some others. And there are now a platform appearing in regional languages like Hoi Choi is in Calcutta,
Uh-huh.
in Bangla, Aha is in South in your market of Telugu. Now it's also entering Tamil market. Uh, there is Sun Next, a Tamil offering again from Sun Network. Uh, and then there are international
Right.
brands like Hulu, Apple TV, Netflix, and Amazon.
HBO Max.
So the idea is that there will not be as many in the future years. Now, which ones will be there and which ones won't be there is something I think the jury is still out on that. So every company is trying to what we call is blitz scale. And once you're trying to do blitz scale, you want to want two things. One, you want to acquire as many customers immediately, and you want to produce as much content as you can and lock the two. If you do not do it, then you become a fringe or niche player. And I don't think this category anybody wants to be a small niche player, because the turnaround of 100 million customers by increasing the fees by $2 per month is tremendous. Uh,
Agreed.
Netflix recently increased their, I think, fees in US market. And if you see the valuation of the stock, it is more to do with the potential of what this brand can and will do, and not necessarily on the losses they're having on the balance sheet today. Uh, so they are in a unique situation. But I take your point. There are two kinds of players, and Netflix, I don't know if they wanted to be in this place where they felt that they would produce content in one country and then, publish in many countries. But today they're seeming to be playing in two pockets, wanting to do international content for a global audience, but also want to do local audience content, whether it's in Italy or UK or India or Brazil or Germany and Australia. Now that becomes a very expensive model. uh, Only a few years back, they were spending about $2-3 billion on content. Today, they're spending roughly between $15 to $16 billion on content every year. Obviously,
Yes.
it's a dramatic spend, but if you see the reference point of this category is Netflix today.
Yeah.
They become the reference point, and to become a reference point, you really need to do something spectacular. Uh, will they turn profitable? When will they turn profitable? I think is more about their own decision making. I'm sure they have the ability to do it, but they will choose the day when they want to do it and how they want to do it. Like I said earlier,
Right, sir.
there will be trade-offs on that, and I think they will have to make some trade-offs on that.
Absolutely. That is, I think, so one of the best takeaway for me as well from this particular session, that it's more about trade-off and not the competition in general. So also, you worked with Discovery, and I think you were one of the first ones to come up with the print magazines as well.
Yes.
But now, unfortunately, the print media is in a way, not in the same space as it was many years back. What do you think is the future? Where do you think it lagged, and what innovations can be done so that this can boom?
I think Fringe in India, particularly, I think they kind of discounted their brand themselves. I think they didn't take subscriptions very seriously, and they were completely relying on advertising. And once you do that, basically the consumer starts less and less valuing you. And I think the kind of knowledge, information which appears in a newspaper every day, whether it's a regional newspaper in like a Punjab Kesari, or it could be a Times of India or in down south. I think the
Yeah,
the effort which goes into producing that newspaper, the kind of people and talent and access that they do get is tremendous. But I don't think they've been able to command the value, right true value from the subscriber. It's been heavily discounted, almost like giving it free. And I think the big change which will happen is the shift of revenue will happen from advertising to subscription. So if subscription was, let's say, 10% of the revenue, I think it's going to go much towards the 30, 40, 50 mark, and advertising will come down. And I think this is a shift happening. Globally, if you see the case study of New York Times, they've done it very effectively. And today the subscription revenue is in fact even higher than the ad revenue. And once you have great subscriber who are actually paying you quality money, the advertising rate naturally goes up because they're getting quality audience. So eventually your audience, advertiser, want to sell their cars and mobile phone and TVs. So once they know the kind of affluent audience which is subscribing your service, naturally they will want to advertise with you at a higher rate. So I think it's all about believing in your own brand, and of course having a strategy how to communicate that. Print uh, as a vehicle in terms of appearing on in the paper form, perhaps will be challenged, but I think they can easily convert and take advantage of the digital, which can be actually a force multiplier for them and even a revenue multiplier for them.
Right, sir. Absolutely. And so, you are somebody who's been well aware about the disruption in the industry in terms of technology as well. And now, with the advancement of 5G technology, I think the pace at which we humans work is going to increase. How do you think Indian market is going to absorb 5G technology, and how beneficial is it going to become for the OTT platforms and digital content in general?
I have this point of view that technology is not the disruptor. I think the consumer is the disruptor. We often say technology is the disruptor. I don't agree with that. You can have, and I'm sure you had technologies in the last 30, 40 years, many in the storage. I don't think all the things that we're seeing today are basically innovation which has happened yesterday. Many of them actually are versions of innovation which took place 20, 30 years back. So to say that it's all happening today, I don't think is a fair point. Therefore, what has happened today versus what didn't happen 30 years back is a consumerism age. The consumer today is, if you get an experience on one particular industry, let's say you get an industry experience of OTT photo simplicity, your experience and expectation from a food delivery will be as well. Once food delivery system changes, you want the banking system to be as well. When your banking improves, you want your airline systems to be as well. So I think consumer is actually demanding and forcing companies to change, and therefore adopting this technology or disruption of technology into the systems, right? We're talking about perhaps in 10, 20 years, we will not have physical banks, we'll only be doing online banking. Why is not happening today? It's a matter of time. There is always inertia to make things change. But and then the rules, the regulations are governing all that. When Paytm came, it completely revolutionized everything else, right? But Paytm is nothing but simplicity of service, right? You can't say it's a completely technological marvel, but it was basically doing it ahead of others, and consumers loving it, right? Consumers were ready for it. So it's a consumer actually disrupted, and consumer, mind you, not in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, but all across India. And this is basically, and but that change was happening consumer mind because of his or her experience with some other category, some other product. We often misplace this, how different categories can influence the other category.
Right, sir.
We often believe that if in telecom, everything happening in telecom will influence the telecom consumer. It's not true. What will happening in maybe in food delivery system actually influence telecom more than that.
Right.
And 5G again is nothing but a tech platform, right? Eventually you can't be swallowing the technology, right? You have to do something on it. Basically, they say, therefore, if your life has not changed, if you're not doing surgeries, if you're not doing medical advisory, whether you're not doing legal opinions, or you're not doing Zoom calls like this, then technology by itself is waste. No one's is a use, which is why sometimes we say, I did this ahead of time. And you have many examples of many businesses which started and they failed because they were ahead of time. Well, ahead of time means what? Technology was great, the consumer was not ready, he was not ready to disrupt, he was not ready to experience and experiment. Now today, consumer is ready to experiment. Therefore, we having all these successes. So I give credit to consumer, not so much to technology.
Absolutely, sir.
Of course, it takes a huge effort to get the technology piece done. So I don't want to take anything away from them. But to me, if I were to choose who's a disruptor, I think consumer disruptor. He's forcing you to develop this technology, not the other way around.
Absolutely, sir. I think I am in complete agreement with this thought because the example is pretty evident. Blockbuster did not acquire Netflix because they felt that consumer was not ready to consume such content. But then Netflix realized the potential and then gave away the technology, and then now we see where it is. So I think in a way, what you do matters more than what it is.
Yes.
All right. So the next question that I have for you comes from the students' line of thought. And the question is, when we are in the college, when we are in the university, we have a lot of, a lot of things going on in our head, and we want clarity. Where will our career go? How should I start my first few months in the company? What is the best time to take a jump towards a different company, or a switch towards a different company, or perhaps ask for a hike? So there are a lot of things that are there in the head which we are not taught in the university. So what would be your advice? How should students think about their career, and how should they take the first few initial steps in their journey of career?
Let me give you the bad news first. The easiest part of your life is over. If you think student life was tough, I think get ready for the tough life, because this was the easiest life. So if you have a few years left here, I would say relish it, because I think this is the easiest part of life. Everything actually is very well controlled, structured, and very precise.
Right.
The world out there, I must tell you, is full of opportunities, but it's highly competitive. So my only advice to you is, and if you guys can take off this burden of yourself and follow the 7 mantras I said in the beginning, just take the first step. It is nothing but the first step which matters. Take that first step. Don't worry, it's a small step or large step. Make that first step and you will know where you will get. We often worry too much about 5 years hence, 6 years hence, 20 years hence. Don't worry so much. Enjoy your journey. If you are failing, share that with your friends. You will not just get empathy, you will also get great advice. Don't hide your failures in the beginning, share them. You will help someone, and also you get advice from somebody else. Make that first step, and I'm very confident you will know where. It's like people wanting to write a book, but they don't write the first page. You'll have to write the first page to start the book. But very often people don't know, and they get worried, how will I end this character? How will I end the book? Who will I go to? Where will I get published? They start worrying about so many other things that they forget to start the book. Start the book. Write your first line. Make your first step. Make your first action. Don't worry, a reaction will happen. but you have to make the first action.
Absolutely, sir. I think that's a wonderful and a fair point to put. So, if you have time, I must ask you this. Can we proceed forward with two more questions?
Sure.
Right. So the first question that I have for you before we close the segment is, startups. That this is one field which is, which has been talked about for, over the past, I think, few decades now. Yet there are so many confusions, related to, how to pitch, how to get investors, how to, scale your startups. So, what would be your advice to the young students who are going to enter into the startup field? Because there are so many students who are going to choose this pathway. And the second aspect of this question is, what should be their main vision whenever they are entering into this startup field? Because I think the vision matters the most in for any venture that you are taking up.
Right. See, I think the two, three things that I will tell you about this startup phenomena. Number one thing is you must know what problem you're solving. If
Right.
you're not solving a problem with a startup, then you have a problem. Don't force it. You must know what problem you're solving. So you have to have the ability to illustrate this in 3 to 4 lines. What exactly are you solving, which otherwise is not as a solution available. Second, you must know who are you going to go this to with, which audience. Don't worry about valuation, investors, and Series A and Series B and all that. First, I think take the finance thing out of your head and you concentrate on one thing, which is called the problem solving, the consumer. And third is you will iterate this product 100 times. So if you have, well, like I say, every great idea will start as a bad idea. So if you're thinking this idea is not looking great, looking bad, don't worry. It will all iterate into a good idea. Give it time. No startup has started with the original idea and stuck to it. Everyone has gravitated to something else. So if you're starting with something which you believe, start. And I come to the original point, make that first step and let the journey start.
Right, sir. Sir, you've been busy with a lot of activities. You've been handling a different departments, and sometime you must go through certain creative blocks wherein you are like, okay, what to do now? Maybe you're not getting the right sort of thought in your head. What are the steps that you take to overcome that period? And do you even go through creative blocks in general?
Well, if I will be very honest, without sounding arrogant, I've never gone through a creative block.
Wow.
And should I go and I feel that I'm not getting the best idea, what I would do is get out of your office, get out of your workplace. The ideas will come to you outside. So basically, if something is not coming to you, it's very simple because you're not changing your environment. You haven't changed your information sources. You haven't changed your experiences. Step out, take a train ride, travel in a train for 5-7 hours, take an overnight train, go meet people, talk to strangers. You will get the answer. I can assure you, you'll get the answer in 48 hours. If you don't get
Wow.
money return policy, you can call me. But I can guarantee you 48 hours, you will get the solution.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I think we've had some wonderful conversations with you, and there are so many things to take away from this particular conversation that we have had. I hope Spasmodic has recorded the entire event so that we can, check out some of the advice this time and again. And sir, definitely, I think we are very honored to have you as the, chief guest of the inauguration ceremony of ManTech Summit 2021. But before we close the session, I'd like to request you to kindly, give some words of advice to the Spasmodic group, your feedback about the entire event, and how was your experience at ManTech Summit 2021?
I must congratulate first the Spasmodic group for organizing this and for organizing multiple other events that they've been doing for the last many years. Second, I think you have something which is what is unique to you. One is it's called persuasive power. You have a team of people who have what I call the persuasion, and eventually in success to get, you just can't have a great idea to pursue with it. And I think you already are doing that very effectively. And also I see that cross section of people which come and speak and exchange notes with you, which is also a wealth of knowledge the students get. And to take the opportunity of the lockdown and even do continue to do this, I think is very encouraging. And I wish we all meet physically when this lockdown is over and we continue this interaction.
Absolutely,
It's been a
sir.
pleasure.
I think as well to host you at Lovely Professional University in the Shantidevi Mittal Auditorium to hear you inspire thousands of students. I think that'll be a spectacular sight to visit. Thank you so
I
much
look
once
forward to
again.
that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much once again. I'm truly, I think delighted to have had this conversation with you. Thank you so much, and I hope that the future endeavors that you're going to take forward are also going to be as successful as the ventures you've taken in the past. Congratulations to you, your entire team, and well wishes to all the people who are close to you. This is Vishnu thanking you once again for the presence of yours at ManTech Summit 2021. I'd like to thank Spasmodic Group as well for conducting this event, and we would like to tell you that we have list of events coming up in the next few days. Please stay tuned to all the updates from the Spasmodic Group. Also, I'd like to thank all the senior dignitaries who have joined us, especially Dean Division of Student Welfare, Dr. Sarolo Kanpal sir, who was here with us. I'd like to thank all the student organizations as well who have been in this process. And thanks to all the viewers who are watching us. Hope you've had some great takeaways from this particular session. Looking forward to see you all once again for another session with some other dignitary. Thank you. This is Vishnu signing off. Thank you, everybody.